Oh wow. Murdered. I shouldn't have too many problems with this. Yep, that's all good. Yep, they got me there, but that's fine. So I've killed the zombie dwarf, now I'm going to kill the zombie elf. Oh, he got me. Looking good. Yep, easy. I might just use a couple of provisions while I think about it to bring my stamina back up. There we go. If I win. The witch looks surprised and displeased by the defeat of her zombies. Suddenly she says, "The game we are going to play is called Discs. You will not win, of course, but in the unlikely event that you do, I will give you the chance to escape. I hope you remember to bring along your discs. Without them, you lose." She laughs sadistically at the thought of making up rules on the spur of the moment. Nevertheless, you must play as directed. We do have some discs. The Snow Witch quickly explains the rules of her game. She tells you to choose a disc and conceal it in your clenched fist. She will call out a shape. A square beats a circle beats a star, and a star beats a circle. So it's rock, paper, scissors. If you win, you will be given a chance to escape. If you lose, you will die. If you both choose the same shape, you play again. Your life depends on your next decision. Now you must make your choice. Of course, if you do not possess all three discs, your choice will be limited. So I'm going to... Excuse me. I will conceal the square disc. A winner is you. Beat the Snow Witch at her own game. The Snow Witch stares at you for a long time before calling out circle. No, circle. You smile and unfold your clenched fist, revealing the square metal disc. You have outwitted her and she realizes the consequences. The globe starts to fill with white smoke and suddenly it shatters. The image of the Snow Queen disappears. No, Snow Witch. Snow Queen. Her shrill cry fills the cavern where she is defeated. The three of you slap each other's hands in celebrations. However, your joy is short-lived as you hear an ominous rumbling. The ground beneath your feet starts to tremble and huge cracks appear in the ice walls. The roof starts to cave in. Is this a chance to escape that the Snow Witch promised? Test my luck. It should be good. Awesome. Okay, I am lucky, so that's good. By some miracle, you are not hit by the heavy chunks of falling ice. When they finally stop crashing around you, you are surprised to see the welcome sight of blue sky above. The three of you waste no time clambering out of the ice cavern, and you find yourselves on the side of the mountain. It is not even snowing, and everything looks tranquil. As you climb down the mountain, you tell your friends about Big Jim's son, and the circumstances that led you to enter the caverns of the Snow Witch. You realize that Big Jim would have presumed you were dead, and you decide it's not worth chasing after him to collect your reward for killing the Yeti. Without any further ado, you agree to accompany Red Swift and Stub to Stonebridge. The journey south is long and arduous, but your determination to leave Icefinger Mountains behind you spurs you on. 2 days after leaving the ice caverns, you reach the River Cock. Really? 50 miles upriver lies Fang, the town where Baron Sukhumvit's notorious Death Trap dungeon awaits his challengers each year for the Trial of Champions. That's actually the name of another fighting fantasy book, Death Trap Dungeon. However, at this time of year, Fang is unlikely to be more interesting than any other river town. You decide against going there and walk downriver to find a bridge or boatman. After walking for half an hour along the bank of the wide, dirty brown river, you see a man asleep aboard a raft moored to the bank. You shout to him and ask him to ferry you across. He tells you to go away as he is too tired to work. If you have 10 gold pieces to offer to make him change his mind... I don't know, should I? Nah, screw 'em. Further along the bank, you find a small wooden boat tied to a tree. You look around but cannot see its owner. Do I want to take the boat or do I want to wait? I will wait. Feeling tired after the strain of recent events, you sit down and rest. Stubb decides to go off and forage for food, and Red Swift begins to make a fire. You drift off into a deep sleep, which your body welcomes. You gain 2 stamina points. You are woken up an hour later by the ringing sound of clashing swords. You leap up and see Red Swift engaged in combat with someone wearing a hooded black cloak. When he turns, you realize he is a dark elf, the natural enemy of Red Swift and his fellow wood elves. You run to help your friend, but you are not needed. With a forward thrust of his sword, Red Swift dispatches his adversary. Whose idea was it to wait for the boatman? Asked Red Swift with a wry smile. Refusing to be baited, you suggest yet you search through the belongings of the dark elf. A pouch on his belt contains a glass vial filled with a green liquid. Red Swift takes out the stopper and sniffs it, but does not recognize the smell. We'll drink it. You breathe in and take a gulp of the green liquid. Feeling no ill effects, you quickly finish it off. Slowly the tiredness and pain in your body fade away and you feel revitalized. You've drunk a potion of health. You gain 1 skill point, 4 stamina points, and 1 luck point. Wonderful. It is not long before Stubb returns laden with nuts, roots, greens, and a fat rabbit. Using a pan he found at the bottom of the boat, he sets about making a delicious stew, while Red Swift brags about his fight with the dark elf. Soon you are all enjoying the nourishing meal, telling each other stories and putting the terrible memories of the Snow Witch out of your minds. You gain 4 stamina points. Later you climb into the dark elf's boat and push off from the bank. It does not take long to reach the other side and you set off south across the pagan plain for Stonebridge. Marching quickly across the plain, you do not encounter any evil creatures. To the east you see the forbidding shape of Firetop Mountain, which is another fighting fantasy book. The Warlock of Firetop Mountain. Does the Warlock still rule the depths of Firetop Mountain? Stubb asks inquisitively. You are just about to reply when you see somebody walking towards you. You draw your sword, but when the person gets closer you see that it is a little old man carrying a sack over his shoulder. He stops in front of you and says, "Put that sword away. Put that sword away. Yeah, put that sword away. There's no point in killing me. The only thing that I have to offer is information, and that costs money. Pay me 2 gold pieces and you won't regret it." Do I want to pay the old man, or do I want to ignore him? I will ignore him. The flatness of the plains becomes monotonous, and you forget to keep a constant lookout. The reflection of the sun on your armor has attracted a group of flying predators that you do not notice circling above you. They are humanoid in shape with large wings, and they swoop down on their prey to kill them with their sharp claws. There are 4 of these birdmen above you, and one of them suddenly lets out a shrill cry and swoops down to attack you. We'll put a bookmark in there as well. And test my luck. Yep, easy. You just managed to draw your sword in time to defend yourself against the diving birdman. It veers away slightly but turns to attack again. You have to fight the birdman. Oh, the birdman's got 12 skill? Jeez, okay, this will be fun. No, let's see if I can get a better number than him. No, he still beat me. Good lord. A max skill, that's a bit rough. There we go. Good old dice rolls, eh? Yep. Oh, my skill is 12 now, I didn't even notice. Must be from some... maybe the shield gives me a skill point? No, nothing there. I just need 1 more. Come on, yes, there we go. Wonderful. The other birdmen who are circling above you fly east after seeing the first birdman killed. Frightened that they might return with a huge flock, you decide to run across the plain. The sun is now overhead and you begin to sweat profusely. You become unbearably thirsty and curse the fact that you have not got a water bottle. You finally reach a waterhole, but you feel like screaming when you see the body of an ogre lying face down in the water. We'll resist, because it's probably poisoned. You do not wish to risk drinking the water, however the thirst makes you wary. You lose 1 stamina point. We are still alive. The three of you set off to the south, worried about the shortage of water. Stubb tries to offer some comfort by saying you should reach Stonebridge in less than a day. He said that he is surprised he hasn't seen any of his fellow dwarfs by now. Oh yes, we have, says Red Swift solemnly, but you won't want to see them like that. He points to a boulder about 50 meters west. The bloody body of a dwarf lies propped up against it. His head is slumped forward and he is motionless. His axe is still in his hand, and whoever or whatever attacked him cannot be far away. Stubb runs up to the dwarf, wailing in grief. It's Mori the Ironsmith, he says. This looks like the work of hill trolls. Let's bury Mori and get to Stonebridge as quickly as possible to tell them this terrible news. Here, take Mori's water bottle. He won't need it now. You gulp down the water and are at last refreshed, gaining 1 stamina point. After marking Mori's grave with his axe and helmet, you set off again for Stonebridge. Night is approaching and you decide to camp in the shelter of some rocks and bushes, despite Stubb's plea to carry on. You build a fire and settle down to sleep. Red Swift takes the first watch. I think at this point I'm going to use my potion of fortune. There we go, got my extra point. Will certainly make things easier anyway. Now I'll test my luck. Yep. Stubb wakes you in the middle of the night after completing the second watch. The rest of the night passes peacefully, and in the morning you're able to continue your journey to Stonebridge. By mid-morning, Stubb has become quite excited, knowing that he will soon be home. Seconds later, the thought of his dead friend Mori depresses him, and he shakes his fist at the unseen hill trolls. An hour later, you see distant wisps of smoke rising into the sky. Stonebridge, yells Stubb. He starts to run ahead of you, but suddenly stops when he sees a party of 6 hill trolls marching towards his village. Screaming a battle cry, he raises his axe and charges at them. You cannot leave your friend to fight them on his own and run forward to fight at his side. 2 of the hill trolls turn to fight you. Alright, so we've got some hill trolls to fight. Draw. As you can see, this is incredibly easy now that I've got the 12 skill. So you can only imagine if you tried running this with 7 skill. Alright, the first hill troll is dead, now I'm going to fight the second one. Go, got a hit. And he's also dead. Since I defeated them both. Stubb's desire for revenge spurs him on, and he quickly defeats 2 of the hill trolls and then helps Red Swift dispatch the remaining 2. He does not stop to search through the troll's belongings, but instead heads straight for Stonebridge. You follow him into the village where he is greeted by all his old friends. However, you soon discover that an air of gloom hangs over the dwarves. Even though they know that the hill trolls are gathering to attack their village, they have lost their will to defend themselves since their fabled warhammer was stolen from King Gillibrand. Stubb is concerned by their loss of morale and takes you to the inn to meet his friend Big Leg. He learns from Big Leg that an eagle took the warhammer but dropped it over Darkwood Forest. Then we must find it, Big Leg. We must leave immediately, says Stub, forgetting his own troubles. He stands up and extends his hand to you, saying, Well, friends, I'm sorry, but I will not be able to offer you our hospitality after all. I hope you understand. He walks out of the inn with Big Leg, and that is the last that you see of the jolly old dwarf. Red Swift sighs and suggests that the two of you leave for Moonstone Hill straight away. Besides, he says he has something important to tell you, and in a way it is fortunate the Stub will not be around to hear what he says. Intrigued by Red Swift's words, you leave Stonebridge, heading east along the bank of Red River. I wonder if it's red. While keeping a lookout for hill patrols, you cannot help wondering what it is that Red Swift has to tell you. Hidden among the trees to your left, Red Swift suddenly spots 3 hill trolls sharpening their weapons on a stone. Test my luck. Yep. The hill trolls do not see you and you are able to slip by them unnoticed. Even though it is quite cool walking along the bank of the Red River, you start to sweat and feel dizzy. You look at Red Swift and he too looks far from well. His face is white and his eyes look dark and sunken. Sit down, says Red Swift in a laboured voice. You gratefully stop and collapse onto the grass, quite worried now as your heart is beating very fast. Do you remember walking through the caverns of the Snow Witch and arriving at a door with a piece of parchment nailed to it? You could not understand what was written on it and asked me to read it. It was a death spell, and we are both doomed. It is starting to work on us sooner than I expected. We have to find the old man of the hills that they call the healer. Only he can save us now, but I fear it may be too late already. My legs are weak, so I don't know if I'll be able to stand up again. If I drank the potion of health that belonged to the Dark Elf, which I did. The death spell is not working as quickly on you as it is Red Swift. You help him to his feet, apologizing that you made him read the infernal spell. He tells you not to worry about it, as he was good as dead anyway as a slave in the ice caverns. You manage to struggle on for another hour, carrying poor Red Swift on your back. Suddenly his fingers dig into your arm and his whole body relaxes. The death spell has won. Aww. After burying your elfin friend in a leafy glade, you set off as quickly as you can towards the Moonstone Hills, but you are weak and cannot walk very fast. You lose 1 skill point and 1 stamina point. That's no good. If I'm still alive, which I am. The ground becomes steeper as you approach the foothills, and you wonder which way you should go to find the healer. Which way should I go? Let's continue. We'll continue east. The river narrows and the ground becomes steeper. As you climb, you feel yourself becoming weaker by the minute. You lose 1 stamina point. I am still alive. You walk past a large hollow tree stump, paying it no attention until you notice a thick vine which is tied to its roots and runs over the edge of the stump. You look inside the hollow stump and see the vine disappearing into its depths. Will I pull the vine, climb down the vine, or keep on walking? I'm going to pull the vine. You pull up the vine into the light and see that it is crawling with revolting flesh grubs. Ew. Their blind heads writhing around in search of living flesh in which to burrow. You release the vine, but one of the grubs crawls onto the back of your hand. Fortunately, you manage to pull it off and stamp it underfoot. You gain 1 luck point. You will not find the healer in the tree stump, so you decide to carry on walking up the river valley. To your left, you see a narrow footpath leading from the bank of the river into the trees. Do I want to walk up the footpath or continue along the valley? I will go up the footpath. The footpath twists and turns through the trees before ending outside a wooden hut. You creep up to the hut and look through the window. An old man wearing purple robes and a grey skull cap is asleep in an ornately carved rocking chair. The shelves on the walls behind him are lined with jars of herbs and berries. Ooh, maybe this is the healer. If you wish to enter the hut, or if I'd rather walk away, no, I want to go in the hut. When you open the door, one of the man's eyes flicks open. He seems, however, unconcerned at your intrusion and remains stretched out in his rocking chair. We'll ask him if he is the healer. The man springs out of his chair and says, "Indeed I am. What ails you, stranger?" You tell the old man about your adventures in the ice caverns, and the spell that is slowly destroying you. The old man smiles and says, "Death spells? They are easy to counteract. You just need a jar of my special mixed herbs. I bargain at only 50 gold pieces." You are surprised that the man wants to charge you money to save your life, but he seems quite adamant. Do I want to pay the man for his herbs, or would I rather threaten him? I'm going to threaten him. Sounds like he's trying to sell me bullshit. You draw your sword and advance towards the old man, asking him why he's so eager to acquire blood money. You pin him against the wall, holding the point of your sword under his chin, and ask him to explain why a so-called philanthropic healer requires 50 gold pieces for saving a life. The old man starts to tremble and says, all right, I'm sorry, I'm not the healer. I'm only a simple herbalist down on my luck. I figured that soon you wouldn't be needing your gold anyhow, so you wouldn't mind me having some of it. I realized that it was a foolish thing to do. Listen, you can have some of my own pills to stop my aches and pains. They might help. No charge, of course. With the sword tip still pinning him up against the wall, he reaches into his robes and pulls out a small bottle. He opens it and hands you 3 green pills. You grab the pills and leave the hut, telling the old man that he is lucky to be alive. Ooh. Outside, you have to decide what to do. Do I want to swallow the pills or continue walking up the river valley? I'm going to swallow the pills. Sounds like he knows what he's talking about. The herbalist was true to his word. The pills reduce the pain and you feel marginally better. You gain 4 stamina points. Intent on finding the real healer, you walk back down the path and up the river valley. You spot a small open space between the rocks and trees on the far bank of the river. Something is cooking over a fire. You can see the smoke rising, but there is no one to be seen. Perhaps they saw you first and are hiding. The river runs fast and is quite narrow at this point. Large rocks jut out of the river and it will be possible to cross over by leaping from rock to rock. Do I want to cross or do I want to continue walking? I don't really want to risk. I'll continue walking. Through the trees to your left, you see a tall man with pointed ears and fair hair. He is wearing a green cloak and he is busy carving arrow shafts with his knife. He is an elf, similar in appearance to Red Swift. Let's ask if he knows where the healer is. The elf asks why you were looking for the healer. You tell him about your battle in the snow caverns, the death spell, and how poor Red Swift met his end. Red Swift, cries the elf, he is my brother. He explains his name is Ash, and he never knew that his brother had been enslaved by the Snow Witch. Suddenly saddened by the news of Red Swift's death, he walks away and stands silently in the sunlight. After a few minutes he says, I will help you find the healer, but you will have to face him alone, because he will only make contact with the sick. He was disfigured and cursed with disease and pain by the Dark Ones, the evil spirits of the night, for ridding a wizard named Nicodemus of a death spell they had cast on him. Now he practices his work in the solitude of the hills. Follow me. It looks as if we have no time to lose. Ash walks ahead of you, constantly alert for danger. You climb up the valley for an hour before reaching a rope bridge which spans the river. Ash says that you'll have to cross the river. You tell him you have to rest first as the death spell continues to drain your life force. You lose 1 stamina point. Later you tell Ash that you are ready to continue and step onto the bridge. You're about halfway across when you suddenly hear voices shouting. You look and see 2 hill trolls cutting the ropes which secure the bridge to its supports. You hurry as fast as you can towards the far bank. Test my luck. Yep. You just manage to scramble up onto the far bank as the bridge crashes down into the river. Ash urges you to follow him as quickly as possible along the footpath which leads up the side of the hill away from the bridge. By the time you reach the top of the hill, you are panting very heavily. You lose 1 stamina point. So I'm still alive. You are so exhausted that you do not look about you and only hear Ash's warning cry as a death hawk dives down to attack you. Ash fires an arrow at the bird of prey. His skill is 9. Oh, I see, so we're going to roll against his skill. Yep. Ash fires a perfect shot. His arrow pierces the head of the diving Deathwing. Its wings stop beating and it crashes into the side of the hill. The other side of the hill slopes down into a gorge, and Ash tells you that you must now journey alone to meet the healer. He tells you to walk east up the gorge until you see the head of a phoenix carved in the rock. The healer lives in a cave in the side of the hill above the carved rock. You thank Ash for his help and walk slowly down the hill into the gorge. At the bottom you follow Ash's instructions and turn left up the gorge. You see a rope ladder hanging down from one of the trees on the left-hand side of the gorge. Looking up, you can just make out the frame of a wooden hut, almost hidden among the branches. Let's climb up. As you climb the rope ladder, you hear the noise of shuffling feet on the platform above you. You climb up through a hole in the platform, but you are not greeted by the healer. You have intruded into the hideaway of a vicious man-orc. You draw your sword as it reaches for its axe. Now we get to fight the man-orc. Put a bookmark in. I shouldn't have any problems with this. Easy. The only items that you find that might be of use are a candle and tinderbox. You take them and climb down the ladder to continue walking east up the gorge. You walk around a large boulder and see a huge man sleeping in the shade. He is lying on top of some animal skins, snoring loudly. His two-handed battle axe lies propped up against a boulder. He is a barbarian. It would be foolish to wake him up, so you continue to tiptoe past. If I'm wearing elfin boots, which I am, so I can sneak past him. You are able to walk silently past the sleeping barbarian and continue up the gorge. To your right, you see a huge slab of rock carved into it is the head of a fabulous bird, surrounded by flames. Rough steps lead up the side of the rock slab to the mouth of the cave. So let's go in. Peering into the cave, you see that it runs deep into the side of the hill. Torches cast an eerie light inside the cave, illuminating wooden carvings and masks that are hanging on the walls. You step inside and see a robed figure sitting on the floor with its back to you. Without turning around, the mysterious person says, "I am the healer. If you have come to be healed, stand before me now." Your heart beats faster as you walk over to him. Before you is a man who is horribly disfigured. His body is terribly twisted, but he sits there proudly, although pain registers on his face. You tell him that you have been cursed with a death spell and have come to be cured. The healer nods his head and says, "The power of the death spell is difficult to destroy. I have only managed to break it once, and it wasn't easy. A ritual has to be performed with which you might not survive. Still, you must try. I will help you as much as I can. First, you must place a mask of life over your face to hold the spread of the death spell. If you survive the initial battle between life and death, you will be able to face the second stage of the reversal process." The healer then takes a strange mask off the wall, carved to symbolize the sun. As you place it over your face, you feel as though your body is being torn apart. Roll 1 dice. Oh, 1. Okay, so I only got 1. That's good. So I might need a couple of provisions to get myself back up again. Let's use them all. Right, I'm still alive. The healer walks over to you and puts his hands on your forehead. He mutters some strange words and stands back, saying, Later stages of the reversal process are also dangerous, but the danger can be reduced if you possess certain things. My help from now on will be limited, as you will have to journey to another place to break the death spell completely. Please follow me. The healer walks further into the cave, leading you to the edge of a pit. There is almost no light, and you have to strain your eyes to see the outline of the healer moving about. A log spans the pit before you, and you must cross it to reach the inner cave. It will obviously be easier to cross if you can see where you are going. Do you have a candle? Asks the healer. We do have a candle, which is nice. You light the candle and look across the pit. It is about 15 meters wide and the log is quite narrow. The healer tells you to walk across it as soon as you are ready. Okay, here we go. Yep. Awesome. Walking slowly and carefully, you reach the other side of the pit, much to your relief. The healer walks casually across the log as though the pit was not there. Good, he says. Now you must prepare yourself for the next stage. In order to survive, you must be totally calm. If you have a dragon's egg, I can make you a relaxing concoction. Well, just as well we picked up some dragon eggs. Dragon's eggs. Dragon eggs? The healer takes the egg from you and breaks off the top of the shell. He takes some powder out of a pendant hanging around his neck and pours it into the egg. After stirring it with a stick, he hands it to you, telling you to drink it. You swallow the raw egg concoction, trusting the healer's knowledge. He then tells you to walk ahead of him. Ugh. That doesn't sound good at all. You suddenly hear a woman howling terribly in the depths of the cave. Her mournful wail rises to a horrible, bitter scream. The healer whispers to you that the cry comes from a banshee, a hideous spectre whose face and hands are shriveled and who only has one large nostril and a single tooth. He tells you that if you walk by her without fear, you will come to no harm. Do not speak to her, touch her, or even acknowledge her presence. She cannot harm you if you obey my instruction. I will be right behind you, but do not worry about me, the healer says calmly. You walk further into the cave until the dreaded banshee comes into view. She looks even worse than the healer's description, with her red-rimmed eyes and stooping posture. You try to remain calm, but feel the blood racing through your veins. She stands immediately in front of you as you try to walk by, letting out the most doom-laden howl you have ever heard in your life. You are tempted to look into her face and cut her down with your sword. If you have drunk the dragon's egg concoction, which we have, you instinctively clutch the hilt of your sword as the healer's words of warning echo through your mind. Now we're going to test our skill. Yep, yeah, that was very easy. Walk softly, successfully navigate your way past the banshee. Between her screams, the banshee tells you that you are going to die. However, the healer's concoction enables you to resist the temptation to draw your sword to silence her, and you manage to pass by her unharmed. The healer is right behind you, urging you to hurry through the cave. You walk on in silence until you see sunlight streaming through a crack at the end of the cave. You see that the crack is just wide enough for you to squeeze through, and you ask the healer what will happen next. He calmly replies, "This is as far as I go. The final part of your ordeal you must face alone. Wearing your mask, you must be at the summit of Firetop Mountain before dawn to watch the sunrise. You must sit cross-legged facing east. You'll be totally cured the moment the first rays of sunlight come up over the horizon. If you have something made of silver, we will be able to attract a Pegasus to fly you there. If you have a silver arrowhead, which I don't." Okay. The healer looks concerned and says, "Then you have no alternative. You must walk to Firetop Mountain and climb it alone. This is where we say goodbye. Good luck. I hope you make it." You shake the healer's hand, thanking him for his help. Then, waving goodbye, you squeeze through the crack into the daylight. Knowing the effect of the death spell has been temporarily halted, you journey north at a fast pace. You are quite close to the foot of the mountain when an ugly creature jumps out from behind a rock to challenge you. It is a hobgoblin. You must fight it. No, not a hobgoblin. Oh, easy. whooped his butt. Ignoring a dark cave entrance at the foot of the mountain, you begin the difficult climb up the steep face. You suddenly slip and fall when a piece of rock comes away in your hand. Yep, nice. You only fall a few meters, landing on a grass-topped outcrop. You continue the arduous climb, and it is not long before you reach the top of the mountain, which is covered by strange red vegetation. After the long climb, you sit down to rest and wait for the sunrise. The red leaves all around you emit a sweet smell which you find very pleasant. You feel very relaxed and suddenly have trouble keeping your eyes open, even though it is only early evening. You are unaware that you are lying on sleeping grass. You sink into a deep sleep full of vivid and exciting dreams. Night falls and time passes by, but you cannot wake up. The moon drifts slowly across the clear night sky until dawn is only minutes away. A tiny image disturbs your dreams, but it is difficult to make out. It grows steadily larger until the flashing image fills your mind. A bird with a long beak and fine plumage is trying to fly out of a circle of flames. The healer is trying to wake you. If you can focus your mind and remember the name of this bird, which is the symbol of the healer's power, your dreams will end and you'll be able to rouse yourself. Is it a phoenix or a griffin? Well, it's a phoenix, because that's what was on the stone. The image of the bird fills your mind. While you are asleep, you sit up and shout the word "Phoenix" at the top of your voice. You wake up startled, wondering why it is dark. Then you realize you've been asleep for hours and the sun will rise at any moment. Adjusting your sun mask, you turn to face east, hardly daring to blink in case you miss the first rays of sunshine. A red glow appears on the horizon, and then you see the sun slowly creep into view. You are cured of the death spell! Hooray! I did it. Adventurer win. Find the ultimate ending in medium mode. It is the beginning of a beautiful day, a day which is probably going to be the most enjoyable of your life. The spirit of the evil Snow Witch has been destroyed, and you are cured of her terrible curse. As you climb down the mountain, you think about the kind, unselfish healer, and of your friends, Red Swift and Stub. You are suddenly eager to meet the jolly old dwarf again and set off towards Stonebridge as fast as you can, hoping that he will have returned from Darkwood Forest. You've earned yourself a welcome rest, although whether or not you will get it is another story. The end. We did it! Hooray! So there we go. Sorry, it's made my throat very dry. Awesome. Well, we did it. There we go. So, as I said, yeah, there's a very specific path you have to take there to actually to get to the end. So that's why I used the walkthrough in the end. But as I said, I'll put that walkthrough in the description just in case you ever happen to have the book or get the game. So yeah, that's very cool. We have done it. The next step is I will get one of the guys from the channel who also does stuff with me, and we'll run them through it and see how far they can get. So that's something to look forward to. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. I had fun. I hope you had fun as well. And apologies if I got a bit monotone. I mean, it's not the most exciting game ever. It's just a lot of reading at times. But yeah, as I say, I mean, when I was younger, this was something that I played quite a bit of. Quite a few different books. There's it's actually quite much. I think I don't actually know how many there are. Over 60, I believe. And they cover all kinds of things. Like there's a lot of them are just general fantasy books, but there's I know there's one that's set in space where you're a commander of a spaceship. There's one where you can learn extra magic spells, and you actually pick which magic you learn. And I think that's the Warlock of Firetop Mountain is that one. So yeah, there's a lot of books, and there's quite a few of them have been turned into these little games. So check this out on Steam, and if you want to look at some other ones, they're bound to be there on the Steam page there. So yeah, okay. Once again, thanks for watching. If you liked what we did or what I did, check us a subscribe if you haven't already. Put some comments in, suggestions and stuff, games you want to play. As I say, I'm going to try and get some of the guys to run through this as well. We'll see how far they can get, and then we'll look at playing something else. and I'll put some stuff up on the channel soon. Alright, thanks everyone. See ya. Bye.